Welcome to Athletes and Entrepreneurs, the Alumni Journey. I'm Rob Finkelstein, founder and CEO of Alumni Direct. We've created a platform to help athletes and other alumni network and connect with each other and tap into various resources in career and health and finance. But more importantly, we interview former college and professional athletes and we talk about their journey, their transition out of sport, ultimately into successful business, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And the whole idea is to teach and inspire athletes that there is life after sports. So excited today to have Gerald Hearns. How you doing, Gerald?
Thank you. I definitely appreciate being on your show today. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. So Gerald played football, obviously growing up, but he played at FAMU and then at FAU. He was a walk-on, but then both years after his first year, he was able to get a scholarship, which is tremendous achievement. And kudos to you, Gerald, on doing that.
Thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
when he got done with playing, well, he didn't get done with playing football. Basically, what he did is then he played for Team America, which is a new one that I'm just learning about as we talked offline. So he'll tell us a little bit about that later. And then along the way, he's always been an entrepreneur since he's a kid, doing the old lemonade stand and all that. And so now he is the founder and CEO of Too Cool
Yes.
Alkaline Water. There you go. And then also Too Cool Vending, which is coming, which is an exciting thing, which again, we'll hear more about. So Gerald, talk about playing sports growing up. How did that shape you leading up into college?
Yes, great question. I grew up in Riviera Beach, Florida, and at the age of 5 or 6, it's when I got attracted to sports, football specifically. I have 3 other brothers that I grew up in a household with, and my brothers and I were very vibrant kids playing football or basketball, and also have a background in knowing how to roller skate. So the agility aspect to that, we call it toss them up, bust them up. We would just throw the football in the middle of the road, or we'll play 7-on-7 or 3-on-3 and draw little routes on the football and say, hey, run this route, run this route. And, back in those days, Devin Hester was a rock star at Suncoast High School. So right where the railroad tracks are on Old Dixie Highway, we would hear the bands play. My excitement for wanting to go to football practices, at the time we weren't able to. We just didn't have the funds and we didn't know how to register for Pop Warner football. So that passion, that desire, that drive, constantly stayed with me. And later down the line, when I got to middle school, I was fortunate through Urban Youth Impact, a family sponsored my family for the Christmas tree drive called Urban Youth Impact UII, a family Ann Shalia and Vince Shalia. And they actually purchased my first pair of football cleats. And they also sponsored myself and my little brother to play football at Gaines Park Recreational Center, Pop Warner.
It's great hearing about those programs. I know some people too that I work with that have set up these youth programs just to make it affordable or just give an opportunity for everybody to play and not just leave people out that don't have the financial wherewithal. So that's awesome. And then just how did leading up into high school and then before you got to college, just athletics in general, how did that shape you? Like just personality wise and drive and everything else?
Yeah, I think it was the discipline part. I want to give credit to NFL Hall of Famer Ray Lewis. As a kid, one of my uncles, he would bring a deck of cards to me, and I always took physical education in school very serious, stretching, doing the cardio and running, doing push-ups. And what I decided to do was use that deck of cards and constantly, whatever number was on that card, when I flipped it, that's how many push-ups I would do. So I began stretching like 4 times a day. I would do 400 push-ups, 600 air squats, 500 jumping jacks. And again, trying to figure out how can I manage my diet. Growing up in the South, we eat a lot of soul food. I had to kind of convince my mom, say, hey, I can't eat that heavy food all day. So again, just understanding that concept of who I was and where I wanted to get to, that developed me into transitioning from Pop Warner football into the Wire, playing under former head coach Jack Daniels and a former running back coach Reggie Stanley and some other great guys that helped me get to the journey that I have been able to embark on thus far.
That's good. I'll tell you what, I'm getting tired just hearing about all that.
Yeah.
Doing a lot there. So let's kind of fast forward to college. And one thing I
Yeah.
talk about a lot is was there education either at FAMU or FAU regarding the transition out of sports? So, not just like a one day thing, but like whether it be, like a workshop or a class that you had to take.
Yeah, I want to also kind of rewind a little bit back to high school because I think the fundamentals of college actually was founded with that process at Dwyer. So for any athlete, I recommend, hey, get in touch with your guidance counselor because those individuals will help you create that core structure of how to balance out your classes and also help you understand what classes work best with the disciplined schedule that you need for college football, waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning, going to practice, study hall, meetings, just so many different increments that make you develop as a 5 star or 4 star or whatever, or D1 or D2. There's different levels. But I say all that to say, seeing how I had to manage 7 classes, not only what I did in the class, but what did I do off the field? And I was making sure, again, getting the proper sleep. Sometimes it was only 4 hours, maybe 6 hours. But again, just making sure that whatever I did, I had time to myself to have that mental balance at the same time. So from FAMU to FAU, I took business leadership classes. I took business law, business ethics, other entrepreneurial courses that also helped me develop to the entrepreneur I am today. And I think also I wanted to challenge myself academically to know that, hey, life after sports, do I want to say, hey, do I need a communications degree in my field that I desire? Or am I trying to find an easy way out just to get easy A's? No, I wanted to challenge myself because I know at some point, if I'm doing business, I may not be the expert of the company, but if I can know how the business is ran, now I can bring people in to help me develop as a person over a period of time. And that's kind of how I've been able to go about my journey and develop so much access to resources.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think, and for everybody listening, watching out there, is just, Gerald obviously is a self-starter and initiated all these things. We're trying to, what you did is a perfect example. And what would be great is to see schools taking more of
Yes.
an active role in promoting that or having those classes. I had one guy on a previous podcast and he said, Rob, I really wish I would have had a mandatory class or 6-day workshop or
Yes.
6-week workshop that would have taught me about life after sports. I mean, we've talked about going in with different resource partners and trying to help develop additional curriculum at schools that not only help the current athletes, but kind of help the alumni athletes as well. Because I think it's
Correct.
to be able to go back and have that. I mean, it's one thing we talk about too sometimes from a recruiting standpoint. I think as a parent, if you've got a high school aged athlete and you're looking at schools, to be able to look at a school and know that, hey, they're going to care not only about my student athlete when they're at school, but then give them somewhere to go when they're done, I think is really important.
Yeah, no, it's very important. And it also starts off one as an athlete. They must understand you are a brand and you are your brand. So, what do I mean by that? Every piece of content that is posted on social media is a reflection of your surroundings, who you are, your potential character, and you create your own narrative. And not saying you have to be somebody different, but you have to understand now that NIL is available to these athletes. I didn't have that privilege. Myself being a walk on, I was selling candy and snacks and, I started 3 apparel businesses and elite socks and so forth on. And I got suspended for 2 weeks because the NCAA had to investigate, was I making illegal funds? In reality, I had to survive. I was making legal funds, providing my own financial stability and balancing financial aid as a low income student athlete, a walk on basically. And again, these athletes have to understand what it takes to get to that next level and just building that core discipline.
Yeah, and that's a good story too, of just like what you're saying is it kind of leading up to NIL as far as just not necessarily having that opportunity. And that's how it was in back in the day. I mean, I'm sure there was, we talk about back when I went to school, there was those boosters that kind of the paper bags and stuff like
Yeah,
that with money. And NIL certainly changed things. It's I guess
correct.
it's a shame that you weren't able to
I'm
do
happy
it.
for those guys.
Yeah, and it's got to be done the right way. So let's talk about networking, connecting, and talk about the importance of it, especially while you're still playing your sport.
Yes, I was always taught by my mom, number one, treat people how you want to be treated. And I can't remember which celebrity it came from, but under the lines that your first impression could be your last impression, right? And I've never been afraid to, number one, quote unquote, fail. Like I've always found the positives in learning something from someone. And it also comes down to having a pretty good ego, right? There's different levels of ego, right? Being humble, being open minded, and also being coachable, right? So I've always gravitated towards treating people right, giving them that eye contact, making sure we have a firm handshake, and also following up. So every person that I've typically come in contact with, I don't just ask them, "Hey, what can I get from you?" "Hey, how are you doing? How's your family doing? How's your business going?" And then, from holidays over a period of time, I will reach out, say, "Hey, happy holidays," or "Hey, happy birthday." Middle school and high school, I would actually used to write handwritten letters, and I think that was a very important aspect of what I learned from my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Ralph Davis. He taught our class how to play chess. He taught us how to tie a dress tie, and I carried that out throughout my journey. So again, just kind of conforming that into who I became, I think that is a very important piece to who I am today.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So after this, me and Gerald are going to, continue our networking business and
Yes,
teaching people the right way because it's, I do talk about that. I think it's important even at a young age, like you said, like even high school, that you've got all these different teammates and you never know where they're going to be and their
correct.
parents and coaches and all that. So it's we encourage it, and I like what you said about not about kind of like what's in it for me, but like how can I help, and that's always the attitude that I kind of take with networking is kind of paying it forward is like what can I do to help you? And sometimes I think the other thing young people don't understand is that just because you're young doesn't mean you can't help somebody. I mean, you might be
Exactly.
talking to some multimillionaire, but maybe they've got kids and you can help
Yeah.
their kids or whatever it might be.
And those same individuals, it could be 1 year later, it could be 10 years later. You may need a letter of recommendation from that person. I got a funny story. I started working for FPL, Next Era Energy, in roughly 2020, maybe or something like that. And fast forward, I've worked for two other renewable energy companies thus far. And kid you no lie, it was like a full circle moment that the contacts that I established there, I met a few of them at the second company. But now to the company that I'm with now, NextEra is actually the owners of this project that I'm currently a project manager for. So just imagine if, bridges was burned or communication wasn't effective or, again, you just treat people right. And now one guy I met in particularly through NextEra, he became a sponsor of my two co-water company with the fundraiser that we have coming up. So it's a blessing and an honor to, again, do your best. You can't please everybody, but if you can do your best to, again, wake up, have a positive attitude, find a way that you can better yourself, and also find a way to bring people together to do something special for others, sometimes, most times, life has a positive feedback for you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And one other thing I've been talking about a lot lately too is networking within the athlete space. It seems to be siloed, maybe more so at the higher level, maybe not college per se, but maybe more like professional level, but where, the football players hang out with the football and the basketball with basketball and baseball with baseball, soccer with soccer, that they're not integrated. And I think it's so powerful that I always talk about the athlete DNA and athlete skill set is that, like I was a runner and just because I was a runner, I ran track and cross country, but you ran a little bit in college. But I mean, it's to me that athlete background, networking together has some power to it.
It really does. And I think it also again depends on a person and or coach in the aspect, right? I think it was at Dwyer, if I'm not mistaken. Even though our football team was very profound and had a great history, we would go to other sporting events such as the basketball team. So just imagine the basketball team have 20 plus football players here, or even volleyball, right? Or the track meets. And then sometimes with football too, some of the guys they play multiple sports to stay in shape. So I think again, just seeing that type of chemistry, it motivates them like, oh man, basketball team is supporting us, or vice versa. And I think that goes a part of the school culture. And once the athletes understand, hey, it's not just about me, you'll realize the long term impact you're making on others.
Now, at the college level, was there the same kind of thing?
Yeah, it was very similar. And I think so I was there from 2016 to 2018. So once I kind of got familiar with a lot of names and faces and things like that, our team actually would go to the basketball team because actually FAU basketball program eventually developed and they made it
Yeah,
very far just a few years ago.
yeah, no, they did great. Let's switch gears and let's talk about alumni engagement. And
Yes.
obviously, that's something that's important to us at Alumni Direct. So, when you were at FAU and even at FAMU, was there a move to bring back the athletes, and not just for like the homecoming games and all that, but more so to as a mentor and work together with maybe not even the athletes in your sport, but other athletes as well.
Feel like there could be more of that. Again, COVID made an impact within the culture, and then you had different coaching changes or whatnot. So I'm not privy at the moment as to what may be happening at FAU currently, but myself being heavily involved in the community, wanting to find ways to give back, wanting to find ways to just connect with athletes or mentor. A huge shout out to Brian Rammel. He and I became good friends through a college course we took together at FAU. And through his motivation and passion in myself, he and I would connect and he started the Owl Collective and BR Consulting and was previously working for Smart for Life. So we would get together as alumni and go back and donate food, turkeys, gifts to families impacted by either the storms or natural disasters or Thanksgiving and or Christmas. So those are a few small things that, we have been able to do. And if FAU or FAMU is watching this one day and they say, hey, we would love to bring an alumni back who has a passion for giving back or community impact, I'm all open for it. And I would
Yeah,
love to even
that's
do an entrepreneurship course one day.
oh yeah, there you go. No, that's great. And I think for me, we talk about that a lot. I've been talking to different schools about how do you re-engage your alumni athletes. We've talked about setting up monthly networking events where we would highlight a current athlete, kind of like where you and I are talking now, and have a discussion on when they were at school there and what they're doing today, and then open it up to networking. And I think that just bringing people together. And yeah, shout out to Brian for bringing us together.
Yes,
That's
thank you,
networking
Brian.
101 at its finest. Uh, this is actually one more regarding alumni engagement. The alumni engagement with Team America.
Yes. So currently, rest in peace to the founder, Mr. Michael Corte and his family, condolences to them. To see the type of heart and desire and passion that fellow had, he blessed me with an opportunity. I remember like it was yesterday, 2019 happened. My dreams and wavelength to make it into the NFL, which was so close, even if it was a undrafted free agent opportunity. I was never bitter. I found a way to use that as motivation and to see the impact that we've had well over probably 200, maybe 300 plus guys come through that program in the past 5 years. It would be an honor. The quarterback and I, Chaz Russell, I play running back, for us to come back and kind of do like a reunion where we maybe either continue that legacy of Team America and or in some sort bring those fellas back and we impact the next generation of athletes that are trying to come out of college or not trying, coming out of college and trying to get into the NFL. It can just be exposure, needing film. Hey, getting access to an NFL PA agent right now as we speak. There's a gentleman named Adarian Sykes, amazing running back for Friends University in Kansas. That is if I'm not mistaken, an NAIA program. Most times those programs doesn't get exposure. But just as of 3 weeks ago, I was fortunate to bless him and provide an NFL PA agent resource to him. But imagine if he was able to play at a D1 university. Imagine if he was able to play at a bowl game or get invited, right? So that's the type of relationships I would love to bring us alumni together through Team America or any other sports programs or anyone who knows me directly. And we come back and do something big or even a sports camp. Let's put a two cool sports camp together. So I'm always open to collaborations.
That sounds great. So you probably didn't get a chance to watch or listen to any of my previous podcasts, but I always ask this question. So if you were able to go back in time, kind of like going back to the future kind of a thing, what advice, 10 words or less, would you give to freshman Gerald at FAMU?
I would say go to more football camps. And the last word, I would say play running back sooner. I started off playing linebacker and fullback, so I used to run through a lot of people.
I've had that one on a couple of things too. The guys like I would tell my freshman self to do like play another position. So now let's go to senior Gerald at FAU. What advice would you give to him?
Senior Gerald, I would say that's a great question. I wouldn't even change anything. I would say stay focused and keep your head up and chin high. That's what I would say. Because during those moments, as when adversity hits, it's going to test your true character when nobody is watching. And I think
Right. He was good too. You did great on those 10. Sometimes it's funny. I talk about it and I'll be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, they're counting on their fingers and that's a hard question, Rob. So let's forward now and we're going to talk about transition out of sport, but actually you kind of went through two transitions because you probably kind of like a semi-transition because when you were done playing at FAU, then you start playing with Team America and doing other things as well. So talk about that transition from you've been playing sports your whole life and now you've gone through the whole college and the structure and all that. Talk about that next journey to Team America and what you were doing there.
Yes. So my first game, shout out to my quarterback, Chaz, first play of the game in Mexico, Cancun. I remember like it was yesterday. It was actually a very, very, very pivotal moment for my life and in my family life, going through a moment where a very close relative of mine was wrongfully incarcerated and wearing so much pain as an athlete. I think people forget that athletes are human beings, right? We have to deal with the pressures of playing in front of 30,000 to 90,000 plus people every single weekend, performing at the highest level in intricate seconds, and myself being a running back, understanding every aspect of the game, from every position to the block to the scheme to the plays to the blitzes, to my own position itself. There's so much that was going through my brain and my emotions that week. First play of the game had a 60 plus yard wheel route over the head touchdown catch, and roughly a 200 plus yard game and 3 touchdowns. And from that moment on, and pivoting to what didn't happen with the NFL, I had to remember who I am. Sports is what I do. It's not who I am. And a lot of times athletes forget who they are because they haven't established a formal identity, right? When someone says, "Hey, Gerald, who are you?" "Hey, I'm a man of integrity. I'm a man of character. I'm a man of wisdom," right? Most times when that question is asked for an athlete, they say, "Hey, I'm a football player. Hey, I'm a wide receiver. I'm a running back," and I want athletes to grasp who they are as a person when they don't have pads on, when they are in that room and they can sit across someone in an interview and ask them, "How was your day?" Not about how many stats I received that week. So fast forward doing Team America and adapting into construction, special thanks to Mr. Buck Martinez and the Student Ace family, because they embraced me growing up in West Palm Beach, Florida, after I moved from Riviera following the passing of my stepfather. That was a huge transition because I lived on Tamarind Avenue, where the crime rates were intense. A story very briefly to touch on: in 2016, as I transitioned into FAU, actually, a shooting happened and I missed a bullet to the back of my head. That was just, a random shooting. So I was in a wrong place at the right time, just coming home. So life can change. And I want athletes to understand, no matter what environment you come from, it's about how you overcome that. So being a walk-on 13th on the depth chart at FAU, bust my behind every day. Scout team. If I only had 1 rep, I promise you I'm gonna make that rep the best rep, because guess what? You have to watch film against the starting offense or starting defense. And when those coaches turn in that film, it may be me running from the start of the play all the way to the end zone to celebrate my teammates. Or let's just say I run to the play, and which has happened, a guy fumbles. I'm right there to pick it up. Or that guy gets tackled, I'm right there to pick him up. So those are things that you can't, I won't say you can't teach, but you also have to have that desire. Mr. Kevin Smith, my former running back coach, he's at Ole Miss right now, played for UCF. He always say, "Have no fear of failure, only a desire to excel." And I embrace that quote in my pivotal moments of transitioning from football to corporate and also entrepreneurship, and being able to turn that into a program that has now, we have impacted well over 4,000 plus people. And I became the president of a nonprofit from Dwyer through now, Pastor Scott, with Team Sports Ministries, where we mentor high school student athletes currently in West Palm Beach, or basically the entire Palm Beach County. And February 1st, if I'm not mistaken, that's a Saturday, we're going to be honoring the next Gerald Hearns Man of Character trophy to the next high school student athlete of Palm Beach County.
Congratulations on that. That's great. And
Thank
you're doing amazing things. And I just, everything you talked about, the transition, I mean, that's like the perfect blueprint for athletes to follow. So, I mean, maybe just, you kind of taught all along the way, but maybe just a couple quick words of advice to athletes as they transition to their next stage.
Yes. As you transition to the next stage, number one, have patience. Everything is not always going to go how you want it to go. Be sure you're going to have so many distractions. And, they say play for the name on the back of your jersey. Well, everyone may not have a name on the back of their jersey, but play or live life as if you were still playing the game. Discipline. That would be my word of advice. Live life with discipline. I've had moments I fell short. I've had moments I got off my course on my diet, or life moments, that decisions that I didn't want to make, not in a bad way, but just as far as the discipline of being an athlete. You have those down moments and you say, "Man, let me pick myself back up. Let me remember who I am." And whether if you got to go to the gym to get your pain out, whether if you got to work out or partner up with a buddy or do not mind getting into a career path you don't know much about. If you find you a coach, I have former teammates from middle school They used to laugh at me for selling candy. Oh, that's just Gerald. He's selling candy. But fast forward, some of those same gentlemen or individuals came back to ask me for job opportunities or career opportunities. And I'm very proud of a few of them. One of my best good friends from Dwyer, Sean Boone, want to give him a huge shout out. He was not the athlete that was focused on business. And guess what? Through him, I connected with a billionaire. And through him, I have one of my life insurance policies through. And we teaching financial literacy behind the scenes on how to help get these athletes into whole life policies, IULs, and have living benefits. And that's just one avenue of the many other things I'm doing behind the scenes. So if you're an athlete and you listen to this interview, you can contact me through social media or directly. And, again, just being a vessel, man, to help what we can.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like you said at the beginning, I mean, you've been in entrepreneurship, a lemonade stand as a young person selling candy, all these other things. We're going to lead into talk more about Too Cool Alkaline water and then also Too Cool vending. Tell us how you started it and talk a little about the company.
Yes, great question. Too Cool was founded February 18, 2023. I had just launched a book called the Power 3 Playbook. During COVID, I got licensed to be a certified personal trainer, fitness coach, life coach, and I was also into motivational speaking. And during that tenure, again, shout out to Brian Ramel. He was working for Smart for Life, and he and his team at the time helped me develop my own multivitamins. So being very active in yoga, I launched my vitamins called Vinyasa, and the company name was G Health Nutrition. And me being an entrepreneur, always having millions of ideas and thoughts. I'm like, if people buy my vitamins, they need water to drink the vitamins. And I was like, what if I call some manufacturers and start my own water company? So, however, I had this bottle of water at the time and it tasted really good. And I kept the bottle for 2 years. While I'm traveling on my construction job, I'm in the apartment one day and I'm going through my backpack and I come across this bottle and I'm like, see the manufacturer? I'm like, oh, let me give them a call. So I give them a call and I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name is Gerald Hearns. I want to start a water company, but I want it to be 100% my company. I want my own ingredients and this is what I would like. I'm an athlete. And she was like, oh, yeah, sure. She said, hey, this is the price. This is the cost per unit and how many pallets you need to order. And I was like, all right, so when can I get started? She was like, we can get started now. So I literally went home that same evening. My family, we are like artists. So I sketched out an entire design. The original bottle, I had had a yellow top and a navy blue label. I drew that out. I sent it to her and she prepared a mock-up for me in like not even 20 hours. Called her back, made my payment. I had my first 3 pallets of Too Cool water in 2 weeks. And I was like, man, I just started my own water. But in between that process, I didn't know what name I wanted to call it. So my little brother and my god brother, they both called me Too Cool. So I called him on the phone. I'm like, man, I don't know what I want to name my water. He said, what you going to call it? I'm like, G Aqua, G Water, maybe. He's like, just call it Too Cool. And then I'm like, you're smart. If the water is cold, it's too cool. So, fast forward 3 years later, man, I've been fortunate to invest in over 40,000 plus bottles with my own funding, seeking investors and seeking an expansion of trying to basically delivery services. Is kind of how I've been processing what would make this company expand to different avenues.
That's great. And then and how does that parlay then into the vending side of things?
Great question as well. So this is the cool part. I kept thinking if it costs a lot of money to ship water, which it does because of the weight, I had to think to myself, well, I got a background on selling candy and snacks. I used to make $1,000+ a week in 4 days. So I'm like, well, why not in 3 years, actually, for 3 years, I was looking at the vending machines and I had a few guys, I was doing it and I was trying, I didn't know how it works. I didn't know what about the machines. I didn't know how to set it up. I didn't know how to format a contract, your agreement form. I didn't know what was a good percentage to partner with somebody as a flat rate or a monthly percentage of the profit share. And I was just motivated to want to start a vending business. So, however, I went to the Palm Beach County School District and I finally got licensed as a vendor. And I went back to my alma mater, Dwyer, proposed to them a few times. We just got to follow up some things. But my goal was to say, hey, if I get a vending machine, the proceeds can go back to sponsoring the programs because the athletics department doesn't get as much funding from the district. So if I could find a way to incorporate giving back, then I can build relationships with people that I've met over the past few years, and we build a relationship that way. So as of this past 2025 December, I just purchased my first two machines, and I also purchased four refrigerators as a concierge service, so that doctor offices, car dealerships, any business that want to partner up and collaborate, the vending machine could help not only have snacks and nutritional products, but also have water and other drinks as well.
It's good, man. I see this. I see this empire being built. It's pretty cool. So how do people find you?
People can find me on Facebook and or Instagram under Gerald Hearns. That's GERALD, and my last name Hearns, HEARNS. We also have a Too Cool Instagram page, which is TOOCOOLWATER, Too Cool Water, and my website, which is www.toocoolwater.com.
Okay, all right. Well, people definitely need to reach out. You can find us at alumnidirect.com, and the podcast is on our YouTube channel as well as across all the different podcast networks. And this has been great. I mean, each week I interview, like I said, former college and professional athletes, and they give great nuggets, as I call them. And just Gerald is a really it sounds like it's an inspirational story and what you've accomplished over the years, and still at a young age, and just I think a lot of athletes can certainly learn from the advice and just your stories. So kudos to you. And
Thank you.
we just really want to grow this platform for people to watch and listen, because we always say, I'd like to impact more, but at least one athlete. But I mean, I think there's a lot of athletes. It is a major issue today with transition out of sport, as we kind of talked about throughout. And so definitely make sure that you tune in and watch different episodes. And Gerald, thank you again. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you. And the last thing I would like to share is May 16th, we have an event called Hydrate the Future. That's going to be at the Riviera Beach Marina. So that would be a great opportunity for people that want to get involved with Too Cool to become a sponsor or support with donation tickets.
Absolutely. That sounds good. All right. Well, everybody, until next time, thank you.
Thank you.